An artwork is an object that's not meant to be. That's the political basis of an artwork, and I believe that's actually the critical capacity of an artwork, to be a thing in the world, a thing that hasn't existed. A thing that hasn't existed proposes some new categories of use or attractions, new desires, functions, fun, a thing that proposes its own existence, a thing that proposes itself, an object that demands respect, a person. This is maybe the most critical problem, and I guess the thing that compels me to keep working is that the artwork is always fragmentary. It's never, it's always incomplete. A dependent object, a projection, not a real thing, a potential thing, unfinished, failed, a busted tool, discarded, absurd, impossible. In the construction of meaning throughout modernism, there's always been this prohibition on use. You could say that the most radical, or maybe just the most obnoxious thing about taking a urinal from its plumbing is that it frustrates the physical, that negation of the physical, the denial of utility. An object which refutes a subservient role, which claims human rights. To me, it's always been important to make something which can be used. Not that it has a particular use, not that it produces a particular experience. If you do that, then you're just doing design or architecture. But something which can be used, and in being used, disappears as an artwork. A chair. A chair to me is maybe the most complicated sculpture problem, because this is really the point at which representation and function collapse into each other. A chair is bisexual, it's fuckable. In the best case, it's a sadistic object. Something that causes pain, physical suffering, discomfort. But the potentiality of a chair sculpture is kind of very basic. It's when you're sitting in it, it's impossible to look at as an artwork. And when you're looking at it, you're not sitting in it. When you're looking at it as an artwork, it stops being a chair. That's like a very low threshold for an artwork. It's a very dangerous threshold, borderline between things. But to me, that's the most exciting place to be, the most exciting frontier for a sculpture, this point of disappearance, banality, invisibility. But the project of making a chair is a way of saying, I'm not satisfied. Fuck this world. Even the chairs aren't any good. I want to make mine. I'm going to make you mine. It's not okay. It's not fine. The chair isn't fine. Why does it have to work? The world as it's been supplied to me isn't sufficient, not satisfactory, faulty. So as a person, as an expression of autonomy, it would be necessary to actually recreate all of the objects around you, everything you touch, the chairs even. Fuck this table, it's not okay. And to me, that's an essentially physical act. I mean, I just get pissed at certain objects and need to destroy them. That's a piece kind of done after Henry David Thoreau. He has a passage in one of his books where, in Walden, where he says he's walking by the side of the road and he sees a toolbox, and he thinks to himself, there's a great house. There's a house for one person. a place where you could be free in your heart and free in your love. You just climb into that toolbox, and if you had a lock, you could lock yourself in for the night, which is, I mean, it's actually pretty grim when you think about it. It's like a coffin. That's a cover version of a Scott Burton sculpture. It's something I haven't really formulated, but I'll talk about it anyways. I think I've been trying to do cover versions of a lot of different artists' work. I've done some Richard Serra, I've done Scott Burton, Carl Andre, kind of like going down the greatest hits, and somebody I was talking to somebody the other day, and they said, well, it's just appropriation. Like artists have been doing that forever, and I didn't quite figure it out then, but it's not appropriation. I think to me, appropriation is actually would imply something that has some kind of distance, or not necessarily irony, but some kind of distance. Whereas to me, a cover version is just, it's like a tribute. It's a way of inhabiting another person's speech or inhabiting another person's work or body, and it's physical. It's really a physical thing. Like an appropriation, to me, that would be like an idea, but I'd be interested just in doing a cover version, and not a copy either.